Hey Dal, it's Tanielle J, back with another tutorial, this grey on grey look on the gorgeous Saskia Jenkins, so stay tuned, let's talk through it. So what am I doing here? I'm going to add these little clips. I sell these on my website, they're called the Uplift Clip. These are just for fun, you don't wear them for a whole day, we're only wearing it for about 2 hours while we do this look. We're doing a creative look, so we're creating a character. So I pop these in, and it just kind of adds a little bit of a lift. And then I'm going in with the Clinique Moisture Surge range. Love these products. I use the lotion and then the Clinique Moisture Surge and the spray. And then I'm going in with some brows, and I want to straighten out the brows. I did actually try to do a really thin brow by blocking out the brows, but it really didn't work out. So I took those off, came in and just decided let's make a thinner brow. I'm not going to use any kind of hectic brow gel or lift them. I want them quite straight. So I'm using a brow powder. This one I always use, the $1 Billion Brows in the shade Taupe, with my little angle brush, my little liner brush. And you can see I'm just creating a really nice kind of sleek brow, which I'm kind of really enjoying at the moment rather than a laminated look. Crisping up the brow, just a little bit of concealer. And now I did this off camera, but I actually did add a little bit of the Laying Low MAC paint pot on the eyes. Now I'm going in with the Soft Matte Concealer in Ginger. This is by NARS. I love this concealer if you want a little bit more coverage. So I'm using my little lip definer brush. This is like a concealer brush as well, and I'm just spot concealing and kind of building my coverage in the areas that I needed rather than adding a super heavy foundation. This is just going to give you that extra coverage, and I'm just kind of buffing it in with my brush and just making sure that I get that coverage that I want. Again, you can see I'm using my base brush just to kind of blend that concealer into the skin. And that concealer just gives such good coverage. So, but again, keeping it creamy, don't want to add, I'm not adding any more of the top of this at this point because I want to be able to clean it up if need be. I am going to be going in with a little bit of a corrective concealer just under the eyes, going to let that marinate under the eyes just while I do the eye makeup. As you can see, just tapping a little bit here, just a tiny teensy wincy bit. This is the One concealer by Napoleon Purtis. This is in the shade Light, and just kind of melting it into the skin underneath the eyes. Here we are. I am taking a little bit of the Got To Be brow gel just to keep the brows in place, but again, not fluffing it up, I'm smoking it out. Now I'm going in with this lip liner actually by Morphe. I think it's the shade Spiffy. I do need to check that, but it's like a grey undertoned lip liner. So as I always do, I use my pencil to create my shape, and especially if you want to have some sort of undertone with your eye makeup, like a warm brown or a cool tone shadow, that sort of thing, using a pencil that is in that same kind of color palette is always really great, because it's going to give you that color payoff, and that undertone is going to come through a lot stronger when you apply your eyeshadow over the top. I'm continuing on. I am layering that pencil just to build up that intensity, specifically around that lash line, because I want the darkest kind of tone to be there. The brush I'm using is my Crease and Apply brush. It's my number 8 brush, and again, quite a thin brush. However, the end is fluffy, so it's really great for blending your pencils if you're creating that stencil like I am, because it kind of fluffs it out while blending it, but it's got precision, if you know what I mean. This is my number 8 brush, Crease and Apply. The thing is, if you do this pencil first, it also helps you to create evenness with your shape for both eyes. You've already established your shape at the very beginning. I'm actually loving this palette. This is from Morphe as well, and it's the Cool Toned eyeshadow palette. I will put the name in the description, and I'm using that beautiful like deep grey color. It is so nice, and I'm using my little detailed blender brush, and I'm just applying this on the outer corner of the eye and just building the intensity there, just to get that kind of smoky edge. Just adding little bits at a time, taking my time with this. This look probably took me about 2 hours, an hour and a half, just because I was being quite pedantic with the blend. So little bits at a time with that detailed blender, and then I'm going in with my all over eyeshadow brush, it's my number 6 brush, and just again fusing out the edge of that eyeshadow. That you can see is a clean brush, so I'm just not applying any more eyeshadow, I'm just kind of blending it out. So using my little detailed blender brush, I'm taking that same grey eyeshadow along that lower lash line as well. I'm just kind of smoking it out, just focusing on the outer corner to have that depth there, taking it in stages. Okay, going back into that cool tone palette, I'm using this taupey brown color as like my middle matte tone to fuse the tones together. This is going to just add some dimension and again give it a bit more of a smoky kind of effect. Also, I just love that kind of influence from the 90s of putting those matte tones, those middle matte tones in that area, just in the inner corner of the eye to the brow. I just think this really, again, elevates your makeup look. Now with Saskia's eye, she has a slight little downturn on the edge here, as do I. So I find if I want to create a bit more of a cat eye look, I really only focus the darkest color on the outer corner of the eye. So as the eye starts to tilt down, that's where I start my eyeliner. And I've used a pencil here, a black pencil from Makeup Forever, and just started it as the eye tips down and winging it out, almost creating like a wedge. Now I'm going in with a black gel liner. This one's from Mellow Cosmetics, a really beautiful gel liner. This one is the blackest of blacks. It's a really great gel, and I'm taking that all across the eye in the waterline and also tight lining that waterline up above. So usually I hold the person's lid quite securely in the center of their eye and really hold firm, and then get them to look down and away from the area that I'm actually applying that product. So you can see I'm just telling you to look the other way. But I tell you, really hold the eye there if you're a makeup artist. If you're letting them free fall and do whatever they want to do, their eye's just going to move about. So that kind of adds that pressure. It makes the client feel a little bit more secure, like you've got a hold on their eyeball, you know? And I'm just also taking that bottom liner and attaching, almost connecting that to the top liner, that pencil liner that I did, and really making sure that as she turns to the side, there's no disconnect, that they both kind of mold into each other. So now I'm actually going in with that gel, and I'm actually going to enhance that top liner that I stenciled out with the black pencil. And if you're a newbie to eyeliner, and even if you're not a newbie, this is just a great technique, again, to make sure that we're not making too many mistakes along the way, because the cleanup can sometimes be really quite painful, especially when you're working with darker colors. They are pretty unforgiving. So if you create your shape with a pencil, pencils are a lot easier to smudge out and blend, and then you can go in and secure that in, lock it in with your gel liners or your liquid liners. And here I am just kind of buffing out the edge of that liner with a little bit of a black eyeshadow. I am using one and from that Morphe palette. Now using one of my extra small pointed cotton tips. I have these on my website. These are so good. They're really, really small, biodegradable. And I am just cleaning up the edge of that eye with a little bit of micellar water just to make sure it's nice and crisp. Now adding that first coat of mascara, I'm using the False Lash Effect by Essence. Really cheap mascara, and it's bloody brilliant. Now I'm going in with the LAYIN Low MAC paint pot, carving out that crease a little bit, because I want this to be quite bold and drastic, because I'm going to be applying a light grey matte eyeshadow. So I really want to make sure that my base is quite opaque and pigmented, so that when I, like, as a creamy kind of pigment, so that when I place that light grey over the top, it's going to really pop and stand out. You could do a wash of grey on the eye. It's quite on trend at the moment, but this way you're just going to get that opacity. I need to Google if that's even the correct word, but you get what I mean. Here we go. We are applying the grey eyeshadow from that Cool Toned palette by Morphe and just patting it in. I'm using my lip diffuser brush. So again, this brush is used for eyes, it's used for lips. I named it a lip brush, but it's an eye brush too. And I'm just patting that down. It's got that synthetic hair, so it's really good for patting product into the skin. Okay, so now I'm going to be taking that grey shadow that I used at the very beginning and blending those two colours together, just to make sure, God, get your head out of the way, Tanielle, just to make sure that those colours fuse together and it's not, you know, you don't want one colour then the other colour, you want to blend them together, so just make sure that they kind of go together. Okay, it's lash time. Now I did lay a bed of 10 mils of the Harvey Beauty lashes because that just gives you a bit of fullness and gives your whatever crazy lashes you're going to put over the top just something to grab onto. So I'm using the lashes that I used before, actually from Rocaille, and they are super wispy. They're awesome. So I put those on the edge, and now here I just take that taupey tone that I used at the very beginning, the second color. Now it's time for our base, and I'm going in with a little bit more of that concealer just to make sure that those areas are concealed. So going back over the top with the soft matte concealer. And then I'm going to use the Dior Backstage foundation in 4WO. It's probably my most used color. Why? Because here in Australia, we just love spray tans down here. The sun is so aggressive, and we all love a bit of a tan down here. But yeah, you know that's dangerous for the skin. So we often will spray tan. And so 4WO is a really good color because it matches a lot of spray tans as they have an olive undertone. So that foundation does have more of an olive undertone, and I'm using my base brush to just blend that into the skin. And I'm matching the face to the body because she has got the tan on, so we want to make sure that matches. I'm going in with the Charlotte Tilbury Radiant Concealer number 5. This is a great yellow based concealer. It's going to add that brightness. I am heavily inspired by Kevin Aquan and his 90s looks. So this is my modern take on those looks. And I know that he loves to have that contrast between the contour and the center of the face. The brush I'm using is my all over eye brush. It is the number 6 brush. It's a great fluffy brush for eyeshadow, but it also works a treat for concealer. It's time to contour, and I'm going to be using the contour stick from Makeup by Mario. This is the medium shade with my cream buffer brush, taking that in under the cheekbone and just kind of working that into the skin. Dab, 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 dabaroo, and then taking my all over eye brush and just blending out the edges there, just so that again you don't really see where it starts and stops. You don't want any harsh edges. But I want this contour to be strong, okay? So dab, dab, take my brush and just blend it over. I'm using my little foundation brush here now, because again, it's already got foundation on there. It'll just help to blend those two together. Contour is about dimension, so we don't just put it on the cheekbones, put it on the forehead and then along that jawline to sharpen off the jaw, and then I'm taking it down the nose. It's not about thinning out the nose, it's about adding shade and light to your makeup. And that's the thing. If we just have one shade all over our face, it becomes foundation face. So that's why I like to add lightness in the concealer, and then I also like to add that contour in not just the cheek area but on the forehead, jawline, nose, through the eyes, so that you have a multi-dimensional skin look. You know, it adds flavor to your makeup, it adds just pizzazz. You know what I mean? For the nose contour, I went in first by applying the product with my little lip diffuse brush, and then I'm using my crease and apply brush to blend it out so you get a nice soft blend. Pop that on the lip, only in the center of the lip too, so above the top lip, down the bottom, it's going to create a fuller lip. Don't tap that contour around the edges, you're going to get wide mouth. We don't want to do that. We want to make the lip look nice and pouty. Okay, my favorite part, adding a little bit of powder. This is the lavender powder from Kimchi. It's very, very bright. It's a little bit scary on the day-to-day, but for this look I felt like I could use it, and I'm using it quite sparingly because I don't want to go too crazy with it. It is very, very bright. It's probably the brightest powder that I own. And then I'm also going to use just the Laura Mercier translucent powder around the outside of the face because I don't want that powder everywhere. It's going to look, the contrast is going to be a bit too much. Now I'm going in with a little bit of that first grey tone that I used at the very beginning, and just kind of smoking it a little bit underneath on the inner corner and on the outer corner. I'm not doing the center of the eye. The reason being is because Saskia's, she has quite a rounded eye, so if I go too heavy in the center of the eye, that's going to make the eye seem a little bit more rounded. Get a little bit thicker on the inner corner and then a little bit thicker on the outer corner. I am now using my highlight brush, and I'm going to just dust away any of that excess powder to make sure that we don't have any powder sitting on top of the skin, and we've let it rest enough that we can dust it away. And now I'm going in with the Revlon semi-permanent brow ink, and I'm just enhancing her cute little freckles, adding an extra one on the other side because I love one there. I just think it's fun. Why not? It's a little beauty spot. People don't get it. I don't really care. I like it. It photographs so coolly, and it just looks really nice. And beauty spots really make the skin look a little bit more, not natural, well, it's kind of natural, but it just gives individuality to the makeup. I'm using Wycon. This is an Italian brand. I bought these lip pencils while I was overseas. This is a shade golden brown. I just adore this color. It's a really nice kind of brown. It's like cork, but a few shades lighter, so it's got that same kind of undertone. And I'm just really getting around the outside of the lip, enhancing the center of the lip, drawing the lip in as I go towards the outer corners of the mouth. So yeah, just cleaning it up there with my nails. Those talons come in real handy, trust me. For the lippy, we had to pull out MAC Myth. Okay, the OGs, those born in 1988 and around to 1992 and before 1988, you'll remember this lipstick. It had no lip liner, okay? We just put it on the lips and walked around with foundation lips. So if you weren't using foundation or concealer on your lips, you were using this. It was it 15 years ago. Now going back in with a little bit of that grey eyeshadow just in the inner corner, just smoking it up, just final touch, and that's the look. And voila, that is the look. Do we love it? Okay, I love it. This hat and those hand puffs, I found them in Italy in this little store, and I was like, oh my God, I just saw the shoot. I saw this happen. I envisioned it. I had a grey backdrop at home. I knew Saskia was the right fit for it. And if you didn't know, my sister, Brooke Davies, is an amazing photographer. She took all these shots. Oh, amazing. Let me know if you love this tutorial. Subscribe, follow. We love ya. Thanks for coming.